Welcome on in. It's the Midday Show. Hugh Douglas, Joe Gill, you guys with us. 215-592-9494. It's how you hot. Bora Kyle Quinn behind the glass after a series victory for the Phillies. 45 hits this weekend. Some good pitching. 11 runs in back-to-back games. We even almost got a Garrett Stubbs cycle. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. Hey, listen. Flag football ain't as easy as everybody think it is. I was looking at some of the players, and I know, like everybody last week, Daryl Doucette, one of the flag football players, made a lot of headlines saying that he's better than Patrick Mahomes. That junk ain't as easy as you think it is, man. I just thought about that.
Are you trying to say the NFL guys should stand down, back off?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But learn the rules. I think learn the rules because I saw a lot random going down a rabbit hole this weekend.
Uh-oh.
I saw what Tyreek Hill was talking about. If you played against NFL guys, they'll just drag them all up and down the field. But I don't think a lot of NFL guys realize that flag football is not football. You know what I mean? It is. It's in the cul-de-sac.
Sure.
But it's not the same game.
No, it is different. You're right about that. No, I did see some of that stuff. It'll be interesting in a couple of years if the NFL guys do end up playing.
I mean, because a friend of mine, Bobby Taylor, used to play here. He's a part of that committee. And I had a chance to talk to him this weekend, and he was like, they're excited that a lot of NFL guys are interested, but it's a different game.
It's totally different.
It's a different game.
No,
it's a different game.
It'll be interesting to see. You mentioned the term drag them up and down the field. Well, we could say the Phillies drag the Royals up and down Kauffman Stadium.
Monday.
Yeah, it is a Monday. You know what, though? It was a weekend for the Phillies, and we got a good weekend out of the Phillies. 11 runs at back-to-back games. JT Realmuto on Saturday with 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. I haven't seen JT drive the ball like that in a long time.
Catchers had a day of it.
Yes, Garrett Stubbs nearly had a cycle yesterday until he was ruthlessly hit by a position player pitching, trying to rob him. He's trying to rob the guy from the cycle. Bottom of the order, Stott had a 4-hit game. Castellanos hit a home run. Marsh had a 2-hit game. And then Saturday night, Hugh Douglas, Ranger Suarez returned.
You don't want to talk about Friday.
We'll get back to Friday. We'll get to that guy.
Nobody wants to talk about
But I'm focused on the positives. I'm focused on back-to-back wins over the weekend.
The weekend started Saturday
It did start on Saturday when Ranger Suarez returned. All right, Hugh, I have to declare something, okay?
Oh, here we go.
I have to declare something. I am considering, and I'll make a full decision by 2 o'clock today when we sign off, or 1:50s, whatever. I am considering declaring the Phillies officially back after this weekend. What I saw this weekend was a really the best version of them. The top to bottom they were hitting, right? It wasn't just Turner, Harper, and Schwarber.
The bats came alive.
They all came alive, right? The depth of the offense came alive. And the Ranger Suarez start on Saturday kind of brought me back. Hugh, because
it was a spark. It was definitely a spark, no question about that.
It was, and it reminded me of what they were at the beginning of the season. Because you go back now, the last, I would say, week and a half, if you take out the starts by that guy we're not naming right now, because I don't have the energy for it at this particular second. If we take the starts out by the guy we're not naming in this moment, right, that guy in the rotation that should be DFA'd. If you take the starts out by that guy, Hugh, they've pitched really well. Their last 7 starts, again, without this guy I'm not naming, they have an ERA in the low 2s. When you add up Suarez now and Wheeler and Nola and Sanchez, their guys their real pitchers have pitched well for, again, on turn for about a week and a half. Their offense has come alive. Hugh, that felt different. It was against a good team. We can't say it's the Marlins or the Nationals. The Royals are in a playoff spot right now. They could win their division. They're a good team with some good pitching. That was a really good weekend for the Phillies. Now they come home for the Astros. I am considering here this morning declaring the Phillies back. Hugh, where are you at on the Phils?
It's a good start, man. It's a good start, but I think a lot a lot needs to be seen. Remains to be seen, I was about to say. It's a good start, though, man. It really, really is. I'm not going to get on that emotional roller coaster with you right now because I can't imagine what anybody – well, yes, I can. How you were feeling Friday. Friday was one of those Fridays where –
felt like crap, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the start of the weekend. We had some good vibes going into this, and it just looked like it was about to get a lot worse. As a matter of fact, I was sitting there thinking like, man, this – I remember feeling Friday after that game like, man – like really wrapping my mind around the fact that this might be a one-and-done situation. And what I mean by that is, first, whenever they play, they might not get it done because it was just a spiral out of control, and it didn't feel like – I'm not going to say they didn't care, but it didn't feel it didn't feel like there was a whole sense of urgency. And then you come back and you have the game that you have Saturday. And this is what I say about baseball. It is a roller coaster ride, and you have to remain even-keeled. I think the hardest thing to do, I was hearing Ruben talk about it this morning, like the hardest thing to do is stay in a mindset. And it's about the mindset, especially in baseball, where you can be consistent and have success throughout and not be on that emotional roller coaster. So I'm going to stay right where I am. I'm glad that they won this weekend, but I'm not ready to say all that just yet.
Oh, I'm on the roller coaster. And Friday I was down, and Saturday I was up, and Sunday I was up. And for me, in 215-592-9494, obviously this series was only 3 games, right? They won 2 of them. There's not like I can't take a whole bunch of evidence from just a couple games, but I can see how they look. And here's what looks different to me the last week plus, but especially this weekend. Their pitching feels back to me. That fell off in the month of July, the beginning of August. It feels like it's back with Ranger. I thought Ranger looked really good on Saturday. I mean, going back and kind of really watching what he did on Saturday, he was spotting his fastball, 92 on the corner. It was the Ranger Suarez that got off to that really good start this season when he was a Cy Young candidate. And then the offense. Again, if this was just Turner and Harper and Schwarber, that'd be great, and we'd be happy about that. But it's the depth of it. It's the first time I've seen JT drive the ball like that in a long time. Castellanos has been pretty consistently good for about 2+ months now. You have Brandon Marsh with a couple of yesterday. And I think Stott's having some of his best at-bats of the season. So all of a sudden, the lineup looks a little more competent, 1 through 9, rather than just 1, 2, 3. They've got the 4 pitchers going again, and they beat a good team. Like, if this was the Marlins, Hugh, I think it'd be easy to roll our eyes like, all right. They beat the Marlins, great. But then what happens when they play a good team? No, the Royals are good. I mean, they're not a household team, right? This is their first year being good in a while, but they're good. If you're in a playoff spot this deep into the season, you're not a bad team. So they're good, and the Phillies beat them up this weekend. 215-592-9494. All right, where are you this morning? Are you considering declaring the Phillies back? I am strongly considering it. Hugh is not. Kyle, where are you this morning as the Phillies take 2 out of 3?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you remember, but on Friday, I'd thrown in the towel.
Yeah, so what happens to the towel when you throw it in? Can you go get it out of the trash?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not sure what the rules of the towel are.
Is that the 5-second rule? Like when you drop something on the ground, like food on the ground, and you got 5 seconds to pick it up?
It's the 5-day rule, I think. So I have picked up the towel. I am not necessarily putting it back in my pocket. I got my eye on them. I'm considering declaring them back. This weekend, I'm with you, Joe, in the Ranger Suarez thing. That reminded me of what this team was in May. I think it might have done the same for the Phillies to see Ranger out there on the mound and the way that, he didn't have everything, but I love the way that he fought out of some jams there. And I think that was sort of like, that showed the Phillies like, hey, like this is what we are. This is what we can be. And the collection of like 45 hits, man. The Garrett Stubbs cycle watch felt like something that we would have been doing in like the April and May of this season, right? Like where you have a random guy just coming through for you. So I'm very close to declaring them back. I even think actually Friday, they could have won that game had they had not a complete and total bum that isn't a major league pitcher on the mound. I think they might. Like
that's strong.
It's not strong for Taijuan. Honestly, it might be generous to call him a bum at this point. Like the Phillies could have came away from Kansas City on the road with a sweep. They could have had they not had a literal turd on the mound. So like I'm close, man. I am getting there. Maybe by the end of the show, if people can talk us into it, we'll declare him back.
So I think it's worth noting here that the Royals were 40-26 at home before the series started. That's another thing. And they're not just good, they're really good at home. The Phillies, we know, had struggled on the road. So they won a road series against a good baseball team. And sometimes I think we overcomplicate things. Like the first 2 months of the season weren't a mirage. It was real. We saw it. And the reason we saw it, Hugh, is because they had 4 really good pitchers throwing good start after good start after good start. And now those 4 are back. They're together again, right? And we got to see how they pitch down the stretch. But Wheeler is always good. Nola's always pretty good. And then you have Sanchez and yet Suarez. Now, if those 4 start rolling here, they're going to win a lot of games again.
Yeah, but I'm a little concerned. I mean, not majorly concerned, but somewhat concerned because this is a little bit of extra day rest for Wheeler tonight. He's on an extra day of rest.
And he usually likes his
he's a guy that kind of is a creature of habit. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's a little concerning because, going into a game like this, it's the first time, Houston's been here in a long time.
Since the World Series.
So it's one of those things where he might be a little amped. So tonight, I'm still pulling for this team, but I'm going to approach it with a little bit of caution tonight.
You've been hurt too many times before?
Been hurt too many times.
Yeah, I'm on the diving board, ready to dive right back in the deep end.
I like how you said it. You've been hurt too many times before. Yes.
Oh, I'm ready. I am ready to jump back in the deep end because I saw some good things.
This is my heart.
215-592-9494. Are you considering declaring the Phillies back? I mean, I could be real with you. We all could be real together. We've had this same thought and a similar conversation after a few wins this month, right?
Yes.
When they beat the Dodgers and Schwarber had 3 home runs. When they beat the Marlins, I guess a week and a half ago, and Schwarber had the grand slam. Like, is this the day that changed everything? And so far, they haven't been. They've just been 500 in the month of August. But this weekend, when you add together Suarez coming back, beating a good team on the road, and it's not just one guy, it's the whole lineup. I mean, they had nearly a cycle out of Garrett Stubbs. And poor Garrett Stubbs, he's going for the home runs unless that bad. He gets hit with the pitch.
He gets plunked.
And he was going for it. Some of those swings he had late in the game, I mean, he's uppercutting.
He's swinging out his shoes.
Of course he was. His only chance in his career, most likely. 215-592-9494. Big show today. We'll get to the Eagles, who played a game on Saturday against the Vikings. Cut-down day tomorrow. We'll look more at a team in the NFCs coming up as well. And a pair of great prizes as well.